Ladies and gents, boys and girls, my next guest is a former Major League Baseball player. In fact, he not only played for and won a World Series with one of Canada's most iconic and celebrated sports teams ever, the 1993 Toronto Blue Jays. He's the only player born in Canada to ever do so. With a career batting average of .243, this Canadian icon chipped in with an important pitch hit single versus Curt Schilling in a pivotal 15-14 win in Game 4 of the World Series in 1993, setting the stage for Toronto's eventual historic win and cementing his spot in Canadian sports folklore for eternity. He is a great guy, a proud player, a charismatic Canadian, an awesome Ontarian. He wore Blue Jay blue and won a World Series too. It's amazing what he did, and he's an Ontario kid. He won with good men, and the Jays are back there again. He was on a great team and lived his World Series dream. Folks, if you are a Chicago Bears fan, you're a fan of Jay Cutler, and please welcome to the show my buddy, Rob, the legend, Butler. How you doing, Robbie?
I'm doing great, man. Wow, that was impressive. Holy shit. That was great. Thanks.
Once in a while, you deserve it if anybody does. Am I right? I'm going on memory. I know the 15-14 game was it, but that's when you had the pinch hit right off Schilling, or was it?
I pinch hit in that game. It was Schilling was Game 5.
Game 5. I see it.
That's all right.
I mean, I don't
run together, man.
Yeah. I mean, I find those are nitpickies. I got it all in my head. I don't really need to do much research. I knew it was one of those, and we'll get to all of that. But first of all, you're not only from Ontario, you're from the Greater Toronto area. Growing up, at what point did you say, "I want to be a baseball player"? Was it watching the Jays when they first would have come onto the scene when you were a kid, very impressionable age, 9 or 10 years old, or was it later? Were you into other sports?
It was probably like really early in the early 70s. I was probably like 6 or 7, and my dad used to have the New York Yankee games on and Kansas City Royals, and when George Brett first started, and Willie Aikens, and the Milwaukee Brewers. I used to watch the Milwaukee Brewers way back in the day, like back when my old hitting coach Larry Heisel played for them. And I don't know what it was. It was weird how I just loved playing. I just loved the thought of playing baseball. So we would go, like, my mom and dad weren't sporty people in that way. They were marathon runners. They did like the Toronto Marathon and stuff like that about 4 or 5 times. But they loved like playing soccer and ball hockey, and we'd go play slow pitch and do all that shit. So I loved playing sports. But when I saw these guys on TV, they instantly became like superheroes to me. It's weird. You get attached, like, people get attached to you in your show, or they get attached to you, when you were playing hockey. It was that way for me. I really loved the characters of baseball, and they really were like important characters to me. Like the way people look at the show Friends, and they think of Jennifer Aniston, da da da. That's how I was with baseball players. And then when the Jays came in '77, and I remember I remember watching all the highlights. I remember watching Doug Alt, who also became a coach of mine later on. Bob Baylor, Barry Bonnell, Rico Cardi. I mean, all these guys who played for the Jays back in the early '80s. Yeah. They made me fall in love with the Blue Jays and with baseball. And really, I didn't start playing any kind of organized baseball until I was 11. And even then, it was 6 years of playing house league baseball. I played house league until I was like 16. And
I can't believe this.
2 years after that, I was actually a starting center. I was in high school. I was a starting center fielder for the Olympic team. I went to the Olympics in Seoul. So baseball, for some weird reason, was in my DNA, man, in my blood, because I was trained as a house league baseball player.
Yeah, that's what's going to be here. Usually, you got to get, you're on some kind of map. Your trajectory. It's no surprise. A lot of young hockey or baseball or whatever team players in any sport, you can usually tell by 10 or 11 that they're going to be something pretty good. Yeah. You even start. And you're playing first league, so what? What? There must have been a point. If you're playing on the Olympic team, then shortly after, there must be a point when you're 14, 15, something happened. There was a turnover year. Which year was that?
It was actually when it was the winter of '86. I was like a small kind of, I was usually always a smaller player on my team. I was very weak. It was bizarre. My dad was like, he came to me and said, Rob, you can't hit the ball to the outfield. Like, you're a weakling. We're going to change this. So he put this little makeshift weight bench where I can do my bench press. He welded a squat rack for me and my brother. My brother's 3 years younger than me. And he was like, I'm going to show you how to work out. And honestly, that's where it all totally transformed for me, because when I was 16, I was a left-handed pitcher. I was basically a pitcher only. Like, I wasn't even really looked at as a position player at all. Scouts would come and, they'd come back because there's a couple of guys in East York where I grew up in Toronto that were really good, who were good baseball players, but it just kind of also helped pave the road for me a little bit. So scouts would come to the park and they would see, and they heard about me. But Bob Prentice was no Blue Jay scout. And Ron Ronsetti was a New York Mets and a Blue Jay scout. And they're like, we're always told to come watch you pitch, but I was only throwing like 81 miles an hour. I wasn't throwing hard enough, but they came and scouted me that way. And, my dad said, scouts are coming and watch you pitch, but you're really not good at hitting. And like, my dad wasn't these crazy dads. He really never said anything, but he kind of saw me struggling. He saw me struggling mentally with it. So honestly, he's the one who actually taught me how to build my body up, make it stronger. And when I was 17, everything elevated, everything changed. I suddenly was a good hitter. I was hitting home runs. I was hoping to make the junior national team that year. I didn't. So I just trained really hard, man. I swam, I ran, I sprinted. I tried to keep up with my dad and my brother. They were marathon runners, and I really wasn't. But I was always sprinting. I was just doing these things to make my body faster, not even really thinking that I was going to be an Olympic athlete or a professional. I just wanted to be good in East York. I just wanted to be good in Toronto. You know what I mean? I wanted to play good against Leaside and North York and these other teams. I wasn't thinking of anything beyond that. And then it just changed. All of a sudden, I was hitting the ball a lot different, man. Weightlifting and exercising changed my whole world. It's all because of my dad.
So when you change your world, because there's two ways. I mean, there's lots of ways to approach it. I mean, I played amateur baseball, but enough to know like what a curveball looks like and stuff.
Yeah.
So like, did your bat speed? Were you going for home runs? Were you looking to slap hit? Did your average get better before the home runs, or because it's funny, your dad didn't play baseball, but a lot of people would just be like, okay, let's go bat speed, let's go stance, but he doesn't know any of that stuff, so he's just going, look, if you improve your whole body overall, there's going to be some level of improvement. So were you like, at first, was it going for home runs, or did you learn the nuances of the game and go accordingly?
Well, you know what? I would honestly say that the 28 house league games that I was playing really up until that point as well did nothing for me other than I just love baseball so much I didn't care. Like, we couldn't wait to play house league. It was playing in the park. It was playing with my buddies, playing this wall ball, Burby. We were playing Burby every night. And this is a game where you play with a tennis ball, right? You throw it against, you make a little strike zone on the schoolyard wall, and you try to hit over the fence. And we were using makeshift bats, you know what I mean? Bats that were probably too light to use, but it helped us build bat speed and hand-eye coordination. And as me and my brother and my friends were playing, it became where me and Rich were only good enough to play against each other, because my brother was always able to throw really hard. Yeah, and you can throw, you play from like 25 feet apart. So my brother's cranking it up, probably like simulating like high 80s. Like he ended up throwing over 90 miles an hour when he got a little older. He was on a national team when he was 16. He was like a phenom, like no other. But so we were playing this game where it really taught me how to hit and how to react quickly. Because when I went to play house league, guys are throwing 65 miles an hour, right? 70 miles an hour. There's no way that was going to prepare me to go face Andy Bennis and all these guys from Japan and Taiwan when I'm 18, and they're all throwing 95 to 100. But my brother's throwing a tennis ball literally 30 feet away from me, literally every night, as soon as it got warm, we were out there until it got dark, until you couldn't see the damn ball anymore. Yeah. And if we went up on the schoolyard roof, we climbed the schoolyard roof to get that tennis ball back, because there was no time to go to the store to buy another ball for 25 cents. Yeah. We climbed the damn roof and get it back. And we would play this game for hours. And it's the only way I can say anything about, how I was able to become a pretty good hitter. I would be playing in the Olympics, a couple of years later. There's no rhyme or reason for it other than playing this schoolyard pickup game, being dirtbag kids and, diving on the cement for tennis balls, running through the fence to try to catch these balls off each other. It really is what, it probably helped him even more, because he became so good when he was so young. I mean, he was 16 and national team. He went pro when he hadn't even turned 18 yet. Wow. So it for sure was a game that helped both of us. For me, it definitely helped with my hand-eye coordination, right? The hand-eye coordination is so difficult at that level. People don't realize your reaction time is less than a fraction of a second, and you're trying to judge spin, the height, the depth, where the ball is going to end up, and the movement, and all this is coming out of the pitcher's hand. So that's really where we learned how to play baseball, man. Dirtbag kids in East York playing in Maine and Danforth.
I love it, though, because a lot of people A lot of hockey players I talk to, they say it with a wink and a nod, but they really, and I'm one of them, say, like, we every single day, if we're playing street hockey, you don't account for that because you're having fun. But come on, if you're at it every single day, more than it, I'm just constantly, it's muscle memory, it's hand-eye, it's everything. So I don't scoff at that at all. But now what was, because now you're being noticed late and there's all kinds of things. You can go to the baseball institute, you can go to prep school. You kind of would have missed those being in a house league at 14, 15. How did you get to even the minor leagues then? And where did you go first?
Well, my story is like, it's a long one. I mean, it's a little bit complicated. It's a little bit, there's so many parts of my life that impacted me even becoming a baseball player later on, because I was dealing with some mental health stuff. Once I went to the Olympics and I was gung-ho and I was, leadoff hitter on that team, and I was loving baseball and I was traveling around the world. We went to 5 different continents and I played in Australia, Asia, Europe, North America. I played everywhere. I got to do everything. But I was on this cliff of, it was bizarre what happened to me, because I was in such a great mindset at that time. And then suddenly I fell off to where, when I was 19, Boxing Day, 1988, I went to Vancouver to play the MBI, which was a Blue Jay sponsored program where you play college baseball and do all that stuff down there. But I was starting to crumble and I was starting to notice things differently about myself. I was kind of like getting more anxiety. I was more shy. I was kind of like feeling sick all the time. And something was just working my subconscious that I didn't really know was building in me. It was like this monster that was kind of growing inside me. Yeah. And I started to really struggle with just like everyday things. Like I wouldn't do interviews anymore. I'd avoid things. I'd avoid people. So something was like starting to happen. And the Blue Jays were at that time trying to actually, because there was no draft, so they would sign you as a free agent. So they were trying, they offered me a contract to come play minor league baseball in the organization, and I just flat out turned it down. And my mom and dad were like, "This is what you've been living like. This is what you've been living for. This is your dream." And I was like, I can't do it. I'm not doing it. There's no chance. So I went to the MBI, managed that, came home. So this is now 1920, and things were really getting shaky for me. Like I was nauseous all the time. I was sick. Like I needed help. I didn't know what was going on. Right? I didn't understand.
It's a tough time too, because you're going into adulthood and you're, a professional athlete looking to get. It's a really tough thing that goes on with them. I mean, I kind of relate being that age and the same sort of feelings. Not to cut you off, but I don't want to underplay that for anybody listening, because it's a lot to go through. And then you got to worry about hitting the ball for average and right, getting a point out there. I'm like, Jesus Christ, there's a lot going on. Anyway.
Yeah. So to make the long story a little shorter, it's funny. I actually ended up signing. Me and my brother signed at the same time.
Really?
And so this was 1990 in September, near my dad's birthday. We wanted to do it for him, but I was literally not functioning properly anymore. I was having a hard time getting out of bed. The Blue Jays wanted to sign my brother now. They kind of, I was now 20 years old, and they're kind of moving on from me because they kind of knew like something's not right. So, but my brother was so good; he'd done a national team. Anyways, he comes and sees me, says, "Rob, this is our last chance. Blue Jays are offering contracts." Actually, my dad, they said it's either you and Rich or just Rich. I kind of like woke up and said, "Well, what about me?" And he was like, "No, they don't want you alone. It's either going to be you and Rich or just Rich. So this is your last chance to do this." And honestly, that helped me, because I was like, "Whoa!" I woke up out of this fog of, "Oh shit! You know what? This is my opportunity's gone." So we ended up signing. The same contract, same deal, same everything. Just a signing bonus, when you go, and then they send you off to minor league spring training. They give you a little hotel. You've been through it. All that craziness of the minor leagues of any sport. It's tough. But so I actually went by myself my first spring training, because Rich hadn't even done high school yet, and that was bad, because I went down there by myself. I didn't last 24 hours. I was with my roommate Greg O'Halloran, who I played in the Olympics with. Great guy, one of my best friends in the world. And went to my first day to get my locker, get my lock, get my uniform. Turned right back around, went back to the hotel, packed my bag, left a little note for my roommate saying, "Buddy, I can't do this. I'm freaking out." I was throwing up every day. I was throwing up in the morning. Like I was not operating properly.
Wow.
So I went.
Is this because of nerves?
Yeah. It was nerves, and something in my subconscious was like impacting my whole being. So I went AWOL for like 2.5 days, 48 hours. No one could find me. I was hiding in a hotel in Tampa Bay, like contemplating don't even know. What am I doing? You know what I mean? I didn't know what. I was so scared.
Yeah.
I was a mess. And anybody who's been through like anxiety and feeling like that at the bottom, it's rock bottom. It's rock bottom, basically what it was for me, without drinking and drugs. Like I did it. I went to rock bottom without any of that. I just hit it. So, anyways, I ended up getting in touch with the Blue Jays, and they brought me in to talk to their therapists or counselors. And I mean, all this matters because what happens after impacts my life so drastically to where I could now be a baseball player, be an athlete, and be a professional. Right. So, I spilled some beans to him about my childhood, about things I was living through, anxieties, and some trauma that I lived with. I didn't know how to reconcile, how to deal with this kind of stuff, because in 70s and 80s, there isn't none of this stuff. No one talks about it, right?
Nobody.
Something happens to you, and you're like, it's inside you, right? Just growing like a freaking cancer, a monster. And that's what was happening to me. I didn't really realize it. The pressure of playing baseball is what brought it out. It's what it made it come to the surface, right? For some people, it comes out when they're 50, 60, 70, and it's late. For me, it came out right then. It was like, for you to be able to do this, you got to take care of this first. So I ended up coming back to Toronto, and they paid for some therapy. I did like four times a week. Talked to this doctor, Dr. Bierman, and about rebuilding my soul. My whole being had to be rebuilt, right? It's interesting how when you kind of lose yourself and you don't really understand what trauma, what it does to you, and how much weight it carries, and the damage it's doing, because you have no confidence. You don't feel like you're worthy. You don't feel like you can do this. You don't feel good enough to do any of this stuff. Or you don't feel deserving of anything when these happen to you as a kid. So, anyways, it transformed my life. It helped me so much, getting it all off my chest and just talking about it. Right? This guy saved my life. The Blue Jays actually saved my life. They kept me. This really helped me learn how to, what had happened to me, what I needed to, how I need to fix it, how I need to deal with it. And, June of 1991 came, and, it was my last day of therapy. And the doctor's like, are you ready? Like, the Blue Jays are now asking, because it's going to be June 1st in like a day. Another mini camp was starting to decide if I was going to go back and play at all, because it's a short season, minor league season that happens. Anyways, he said, Rob, you got to look at yourself in the mirror. Go look in that mirror right now and tell yourself, if you want to be a professional baseball player, if you want to try it, and just whatever happens, happens. Say that to yourself. And I did that. I went and talked, like I literally had like this talk to myself. Like I got that, that in the head, like, let's go, man. Like, you're good. Like, you're ready. Like, you can do this. And I gave him the biggest hug, cried my eyes out, went to mini camp the next day. My brother came down the day after. Had the best time spring training, living together, eating spaghetti and meatballs, eating peanut butter and jam sandwiches, because we only had $5. We got no money. You got $5 in our pocket. We can collect calls on a payphone a mile down the road. Hey, Mom, we're still alive. See you later. And I went on to play in the New York Penn League that year. Won a batting title. Was player of the year, and I was on my way. I was like here. I was here in March at the bottom and winning player of the year in a minor league baseball team. 4 months later, man, crazy.
I really, it's amazing. And sometime we do some events together. I'll tell you, there's a lot of parallels, man. That's wild. I went to see a sports psychologist, same sort of thing. First round picked a little bit different, but the pressure of coming in and then I had a concussion and no one was really understanding what I was going through. And it was before people really reported it like they do now. And I felt really alone. I can't explain it. I've often said to people, I'm like, there was no booze or drugs, or it was just like I had the concussion, and then it was starting to even heal, but I still had these, it was hard to find my place, and am I in the NHL? Am I not? I'm young. I'm 19. I'm here. But am I missing my buddies at home? Or there was something, I don't know what it was, but Wayne Hollywell was his name. I'll throw it out there. He really, really helped me out. And it was kind of the same, like, what's the worst that can happen here? You're going to go out there, and it kind of took a monkey off. There was a lot of weight taken off my shoulders, not the monkey off my back. But you know what I mean? What you just said, two different sports, two different worlds. But at the time, there just wasn't a lot of people to reach out to. Now it's kind of everywhere. Your agent would have an answer, but I just bottled it all up. Anyway.
It's funny, like I can honestly tell you, Terry, meeting you and like hearing, like knowing a little bit about your story and listening to you talk, people like me and you actually do find each other. Because there's something that I kind of look. I'm listening to you talking, and I'm just like, man, you know what? I kind of like to tell Terry my story, because I'll bet you he would say, I know those feelings. I understand that. I understand that kind of feeling of, oh my God, I'm a first round draft pick. Fuck, people think I gotta be good.
Yeah.
How am I going to be good? You know what I mean? Am I going to be good? Like that really plays on your mind if you're not prepared, if you're not, if you're, there's so much that is involved with your mind and your confidence, and anything can chip away at that, right? And you can really, you start to carry too much, and now your reaction is slower, your timing is slower, then your confidence goes, and you're like, I don't want to be out here. Like I don't feel like I belong. I feel like everything is too fast because you can't calm your mind down.
Exactly. And there's another parallel. I mean, I'm the highest pick ever from Newfoundland, so I felt like I had it's how you harness the energy. At times, this was the reason I succeeded. I mean, in certain situations, I had the whole passion of a province behind me, but with that comes a little bit of responsibility. You're from Toronto, signing with the Jays. Your family's right there in the town, So, and I mean, I went to the Habs, my favorite team. It's a close. Half the pro. So there are definitely similarities now. And so thank you. And there's people out there listening that I'm sure are comforted by that. You don't have to be a pro athlete.
Millions of people.
People go through it, just coming of age stuff and just life stuff. But so when you go professional, this is what I'm curious, because I played. My dad's in the Baseball Hall of Fame here in Newfoundland. I'm seriously, which is probably like saying the Jamaican Hockey Hall of Fame, but whatever. But
any Hall of Fame is amazing.
Yes. So, and I was a decent, okay all-star. Like, I went to the odd nationals, and I remember going like around here, like you said, if it's in the 70s, I almost, you can kind of just wait for the pitch and react. But when it starts to get a little bit, that now there's a bit of guessing that comes into it. And okay, this guy's going to throw smoke up on my head, and now I'm going to get maybe a splitter outside. Like, and that to me, I mean, I only have the Nationals to speak of because we're only hitting Newfoundland pitchers. Other than that, some are good. But I remember going, shit, well, this is a completely different game now. And you're going from local Canadian stuff to boom. Like, and I know it must be the transition from the minors to the major leagues must be that crazy again. But it got to be nuts going from amateur to people that can't. I mean, and all kinds of people in the minors thrown it in the 90s. They're just not accurate or they're not there yet. I mean, Savage played in the minors this year. So you're seeing great pitchers. What was that like as a hitter? Did that take a while to adjust to?
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. But I think that, the power of the mind, even more than the physical body, is unbelievable, because so many people do ask, and I played with the greatest players of all time, Paul Mahler and these guys, and they have a really hard time explaining that reaction time that's just kind of built in, that timing and that rhythm that they kind of have, because there was an adjustment. I think there was more the adjustment of how much they could really locate. You know what I mean? If they wanted to throw it inside, they threw it inside. If they wanted to throw it on that little outside corner, they could hit that spot, right? And they could make the ball start in the middle and move to there. Those are the higher you got, you realized how much easier it was for them to do that, compared to like younger guys who just reared back and threw it down the middle and hoped you hit it. Like and I found those guys were harder to hit than guys who were more precise, because the guys who are more precise, they're more around the plate. Yeah. So when the ball comes out of your hand, and I can visualize it right now as I'm seeing it, like you're literally seeing, you can see the seams, you can see the perfect roundness of the ball, you can see the way the ball is rotating. And when you've seen it enough, whether as a kid you're playing Burby and all these crazy pitches are coming at you and you're learning how to track and where the ball is going to go, you instantly react to where that ball. This is why you see these guys. The ball is like this much outside of the screen. You know what I mean? From here to there, how do they lay off that 98-mile-an-hour sinker? Right? It's the reaction time. It's incredible.
I wonder this.
Yeah, they literally have this chip in their brain that is a super chip that other people don't have. It just is, it's reacting so much faster than anybody can comprehend. And they're trying to hit something that's round with a round bat that weighs 2 pounds. And you're guessing from there to here, this is where it's going to end up. But they know precisely, and I could see it precisely, exactly. I don't know, it's just weird. Like, it didn't seem like a fraction of time. It seemed like longer. No matter if they're throwing 100. When your mind is so zoned in and focused, and you can't hear 100,000 people screaming in your ear, all you see is a round ball with a bunch of seams on it coming at you, and you know exactly where it's going to be, and you trust you have time to get the barrel to it. It is almost unexplainable, but it is really your mind being able to slow the game down. And everybody at any time in their life has felt that. Anybody, you felt it in hockey, right? You did a one time, you've seen this game happen before it happens. Like, oh my God, I just thought of that. And there it is right there.
Yeah.
Right. This guy went up the side of the board, boom, boom, boom. I'm in the slot, bam, bam. Oh my, I just visualized that. And it happened, right? Or you know what I mean? That's what baseball players are really good at. They're on deck and they're watching the pitcher pitch and they're building a heartbeat of the speed and the rhythm, how long he lifts his leg, how long his arm comes through. All of that is happening. You're seeing it and you're feeling it through your body. This is why they tell you to pay attention, right? We're talking about, what I did last night. You're paying attention to the game and you're building the rhythm. It's the same as any sport. You felt it in hockey. You feel it in baseball. The rhythm is set by the pitcher, how fast he's moving, what he's doing, how, all that. And baseball players are able to get inside that. They get inside this timing. That's incredible because they make it look so easy. They don't even look like they're swinging hard. Their head doesn't even move. You know what I mean? Like
it looks nothing like on TV. What's actually
my head would come off my shoulders trying to do it.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're not doing that. It's total control in a fraction of time. But to them, they're like in a time warp of, oh, I see that all the way, man. Oh, there's beauty. Like that's looks like a watermelon. Like it's bizarre, but that's how it works.
Yeah, it is bizarre, but honestly, it's so hard to explain for you because at some point it becomes this omnipresent instinct that's built in as a baseball player. Because for the same reason I find it fascinating as a fan, you find it fascinating as a player. So listen, I'm skipping over a lot, but you get up. You're not only in '93, all of these things going on. You talk mental strength in the game and whatever in life. You're a rookie on top of everything. You talk about people cheering and screaming. You're coming into a situation, and I know you played during the regular season, but you're still a rookie. So you get in. Now, first of all, how much of you was fan and how much of you is like player when you're coming in? Because I know when I went to the Habs, they're my favorite team. I'm 18, 19. Like a large part of me was fan. It was hard to cut the fan off of like sitting next to Vincent Damphousse. It's really hard for me to turn that off. Eventually it happened, but it was never totally turned off. For you, how was that being from Toronto coming into it? And you're on a team full of legends.
Yeah. You know what? Honestly, that was very hard. It was very difficult dealing with the fact that I was around my heroes, right? And coming up, being from Toronto, I grew up 10 minutes from the Sky Dome, right? Maine and Danforth. I was a Toronto kid through and through. So, I loved every damn Blue Jay that ever played for the Blue Jays. And then the ones that were there at that time, they just won the World Series. Like, I remember my first time
Hall of Famers, man.
Hall of Fame. I remember my first time in spring training. They invited me for a spring training. I didn't do spring training. I wasn't like an invite to spring training either. Like, I was a minor league camp in '93. But I did get to play 2 games. So they called me up the first time, and I went into the clubhouse in Dunedin. I was like shitting my pants. I was like, oh my God, there's Pat Borders, there's Jack Morris, there's Joe Carter, Alomar, hey butts, like talking to me like they know me. They don't know me from Adam. They just like, oh, there's kids coming up to play a spring training game today. And I still remember Pat Borders coming up to me and, putting his arm around me. I'm thinking, oh, great, I get, this guy's going to show me the ropes and da-da-da-da. And he's talking, hey, Butts, Rob, it's great to see you again. I've never met him before in my life. Great to see you again. Like, this is going to be a great day for you. You're playing a major league spring training game, blah, blah, blah. But I know you think this is your locker, but this is not your locker for today. Your locker is going to be here in the garbage can. So he actually took my uniform. It was clean. It was all planned by him, obviously. It wasn't like a dirty garbage can. Anyways, he put my uniform, wrapped it around the garbage can, and said, that's where you're going to change today. That's your initiation. That's your initiation here. And I was like, okay. There's no problem. You dress and put my uniform on, put my clothes on the garbage can. And he said, you passed the test. Some guys would come in and said, I'm not doing that. And you were just like, okay, sure, Pat. I'm just like, that's my locker room.
Oh, beautiful.
So it ended up being a fun day. That was my first experience with the Toronto Blue Jays with a spring training game. I actually went 4 for 5. We're playing the St. Louis Cardinals in spring training. I got 4 hits. And Malter's coming saying, great job, great job. But it was really hard when I actually got called up to the majors, and it was actually a real game because now everybody's calling my family. Everybody's trying to, there's no way to reach people back then with cell phones or whatever. But the chaos of that was very quick and very instant. And I got thrown into the fire with these guys in June of '93. And I was from Toronto, and I'm playing for Toronto. And it was insane. It was the scariest time of my life. Not as scary where I couldn't get through it, because I did. I got a hit my first game. I played, I got catch a couple balls, blah, blah, blah. I wasn't paralyzed, but playing for Toronto, playing with my heroes, and as I got to talk to the guys and know the guys, like John Alder was very helpful. Dick Schofield was so helpful. They were like, Rob, the worst thing for a baseball player is playing at home. Like when I go, like they would say, like when I go to California, I go to Los Angeles, I can't function. I can't be there for 3 days. Like you're in trouble. You're playing your home. This is your hometown. This is your team.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. And you're a rookie. How are you going to be able? How are you going to manage this? And I was like, I don't know. I've never been here before. I have no idea. Right. So I kind of was a little wary of the fact that the wave was coming, because Toronto was so popular. It was Canada's team big time back then. And there was a huge wait. It was difficult, right? It was constant phone calls, constant interviews. How'd you make it here? And I wasn't even telling anybody the truth. I never told anybody my story. I was like, oh my God, I worked so hard. I did everything I could. I just love baseball. Didn't know 2.5 years ago. I don't know what I was going to do. I was jumping off a bridge.
Yeah. No one knows that. Yeah. So you hadn't even come out and said that. So here you are. I'm not going to say living a lie, but there's a lot that people don't even know. Mm-hmm. And you're on stage, but still they don't even realize what you just went through for real.
No, they have no idea. A lot of people think you sign and you go to the majors.
Yeah.
They don't know that for the average, you're about 5 years in the minors, right? Making $1,000 a month on buses. You're hurt. Nobody cares. I mean, you know what I mean? Like you get hurt too long, you're gone. Like all these things can impact you that you're thinking about, right? That could end your career in an instant. And you're fighting through all of that. Plus you're competing, even though you're on a team, everybody's trying to get to the majors.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm with 5 outfielders. Yeah, we're best friends, we're buddies, we're brothers. Well, if we're in a brawl, we're fighting together, we're doing the whole thing, we're winning and losing. But at the end of the day, they want to go to the majors before me. Right. So it's still competition while you're there. It's the hardest life in the world trying to be a minor league athlete back in those days, because no food, no money, no support. You got no friends, no family. You know what I mean? You don't have the comfort of anything. And I really, that's what they want. They want you to get the hell out of there to be a major leaguer. So people don't understand the road, the path that it takes to do it, and the mental toughness. Like I saw so many guys not make it through one season, right? And then they're replaced like that. New guy comes in. Like it's just totally unforgiving and thankless. But you got to really have it in your soul, your blood, to really want to do it. Because I actually loved that life. Once my mind was clear and I missed home. I had trouble with homesickness sometimes, but overall, I could not wait for the next baseball game. Yeah. I loved playing baseball, right? So when I got to the big leagues, I was starting left fielder. They traded for Tony Fernandez. They traded away their left fielder. I became the left fielder June 12th of 93.
That was my next question.
Yeah, so I played about 11 games. I was batting about 250. I was getting like one hit a game. I think I was playing pretty good. I was doing okay. I was playing good left field. And then we ended up playing the New York Yankees. And Don Mattingly, I had a poster of Don Mattingly on my wall. Yeah. And I remember I actually got to lead off that game. I got a base hit up the middle. And I'm standing on first base talking to Don Mattingly, telling him how I wanted to be Don Mattingly. And, he's my hero. Like, you're my hero, buddy.
He was my favorite player growing up. Yeah, keep going.
Don Baylor at first base. Rob, that's not your teammate. Let's go, man. Like, get your head out of the clouds.
I know exactly what you mean. That's what I would have been like.
I ended up stealing second base, sliding in a second, break my thumb. I'm on the DL I went on the DL probably June 25th and didn't come back until September. I tore a ligament in my thumb and had surgery and missed that much time, which is why I think I only played like 17 games overall in 93 going up into the World Series, because I was hurt. I was done. I was lucky that I even got to play in the World Series.
And before you go further, just little stop here for I'm curious. Yeah. When you're stealing at that level, is it your own volition or are you getting the sign?
For me, I went on my own.
Okay.
So they gave me the green light. And it was supposed to be, they teach you good counts. Good, you know what I mean? You get a feel. Yeah. Same thing, you get a feel. You kind of can see. But you know what? I was too tense. Right? I was talking to Don Mattingly, and I was like, I didn't do things naturally, right? I didn't get a good jump. I wasn't like, it wasn't a flow. I could feel it. I can still feel myself trying to steal. I'm like, man, my legs aren't fucking moving. Like I'm not. Oh, sorry. Am I not swearing here? Sorry. Anyways, I wasn't right. And I did this weird slide, which I never do. I was always going head first, straight into the bag. It didn't matter. The guy's knees were there and hit me, blah, blah, blah. But I tried to avoid a tag, which I never did. And I caught my thumb on the base, snapped my thumb, snapped my ligament. and I lost my starting job. And that's when they traded for Ricky Henderson. He came to the team because I couldn't come back. They asked me. I'm actually one of the reasons why Ricky Henderson came to the team, because Pacquiao and Cito came into the locker room and were checking on my rehab, and they asked me, are you available? Like, are you gonna be able to play soon? And this was, end of July. And I was like, well, I'm still in my cast. So they're like, good. That's good. We're trading for Ricky Henderson.
Holy shit. He's the all-time base stealer by a landslide.
Oh, yeah. Getting Ricky Henderson.
He's in the midst of all of that.
Yeah.
He's coming in. So then, I mean, I know how the rosters work. I think you're allowed to do 25. I forget 25. How many. But you're okay. So you're coming eventually. The playoffs are starting. So you're on the playoff roster, which is a huge thing then. Yeah. So you're coming back. You're ready to play. Obviously, I mean you're doing well but they've moved on. How long were you out, and were you surprised then to be on the playoff roster?
Yeah. So I came back. So I did a rehab at the end of August. I went back to Syracuse, did a quick little 5-game rehab, and they called me back up in September when they could expand the rosters to 40. They don't usually have 40, but they'll go 33.
Yeah.
They'll call a bunch of guys up, right? They bring it back. So mine was I was a major league player, did my rehab, and then because they didn't have to make any changes on the roster to bring me back up, I just came back up September 1st, whatever it was. Didn't play at all until we clinched. So we clinched against Milwaukee near the end of September. And that's when the team decided they were going to feel out all the younger guys, whoever's on the bench to get playing to see who's going to go on the World Series roster.
Makes sense.
So I ended up actually doing really good. I got a bunch of hits. I got 7 or 8 hits. I was getting 2 or 3 hits every damn game when I started. And to my shock, I didn't think anything of the playoff roster. I actually didn't know how it worked, to be honest. I didn't know the ins or outs. No one tells you anything. You just kind of floating along and you learn as you go. Cito calls me and Dick Schofield in, and Dick Schofield was looking at me going, because Dick wasn't playing at all either. He had been hurt all season, but he had come back, and he's like, Rob, are we getting released? And I was like, I don't know. You're the guy who's been here for 10 years. What the hell do I know? Anyways, I don't know if this is good, man. We go in, Cito's sitting there. Congratulations, right away. Boom, congratulations. Congratulations. What? Your guys are going to be on the playoff roster. And I was like, I made the playoff roster? I didn't know I had to make the playoff roster.
Yeah.
I thought it was just I thought
it's not like you've been through it before.
No.
Yeah.
It was such a shock. And I was like, oh my God, I'm on the playoff roster. What the hell does this mean? So anyway, that's how I ended up getting on it. That's what ended up happening. I played good at the end. Cito puts us on. Me and Schofield get on. We play against Chicago the first series. Don't play at all because it's all DH, right? Everything is DH. The roster doesn't change much. They don't need pinch hitters, any of that stuff. And the team 1 through 9 is incredible. Who are you going to pinch hit for? Who are you going to do anything for right on that team? They were so good, right? Especially the outfield. Ricky, Devo, Joe. Who's playing over them? Nobody. So anyway, but when we got to the World Series, and again, we're trying to prepare, we're doing all our stuff, doing all our training, but now we haven't really played for 2 weeks, right? We haven't played against Chicago. So me, Schofield, Coles, Alfredo Griffin, we haven't done anything. Sit on the bench and eat O. Henry bars and cheer a team on. Now, but when we go into Philly, and I wasn't even warned about this. Now the pitchers are hitting for themselves. They need pinch hitters, right? So I'm sitting there.
And by the way, for those listening that don't realize, Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Philadelphia, that's all of all the cities of North America that you can bet that you're going to get heckled, to say the least. And the fans are going to be going mad. It's going to be Philadelphia. So go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, no, Veterans Stadium, 70,000 people. So it's funny. We get off the plane going into Philly. We don't have a hotel.
Okay, I've heard something about this. Maybe you were talking about it at one of the events. Again, I don't know if they did, but it's very what's the word? Peculiar to me.
Yeah.
That this happened.
Timing. Interesting timing.
Explain it again. Sorry, I keep cutting you off. But
No, it's all good. You're exactly right. Very peculiar. Very interesting that I'm on the bus and I've got my Walkman on. I'm listening. All of a sudden I say, right, everybody quiet, blah blah blah. Everybody's listening. We don't have a hotel, guys, so we have to wait.
The World Series.
We're good with the World Series. We don't have a hotel.
That's unbelievable.
They turn us around and we go to Hoboken, New Jersey. We're out in an hour away from the park. Yeah. They put us out in the middle of nowhere. It's actually funny. We're in the middle of nowhere, beside a river, and there's a little Italian restaurant and a gas station, and that's all that was like immediately around us. Like there was nothing there. It was funny. So they were playing. It felt like Joe Carter was like, they're playing head games. They're playing head games. So we that's how our trip to Philadelphia started. And then of course the crazy media playing head games. Oh, the Blue Jays were out partying last night. We saw Joe at 3 o'clock in the morning coming down out of the bars, blah, blah, blah. None of this is true. All total bullshit.
Okay, I always wondered that because I'm like, that's weird, like that they would be out. Like it's one thing to have a few beers together. They got to see a baseball coming in, like you said, 100 miles an hour. Like I find it odd that all these successful champions would be out getting sloshed till 5 in the morning.
Yeah, didn't happen.
I was a kid, but I do remember all of that happening. My dad we watched every minute of it, and I remember that being a story. So that was all bullshit.
All bullshit.
Wow, I thought so, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We all had our families there. It was in the front page news of the Philly papers. You know, like the back page is like the head, like their front page. You know, in America with their sports. Joe Carter and the boys out partying, and the Phillies are gonna kill these guys, and we're all looking around at each other. I don't think so. I think I was in bed by 10. Like, what are these guys talking about?
Yeah.
So, anyways, and we were in the middle of nowhere. There was nowhere to go do anything. So, but it was the head game that they were playing, right? And then when you go into that environment, and it was Game 3, and Pat Henkin was pitching that game, and it was a war zone, man. It was insane. It was like when I went to Venezuela and they're standing there with machine guns. I felt like we needed that protection. These people Philadelphia fans are unbelievably chaotic, and they will say anything and everything to get you in your head and get you off your game. But you have to be so good at trying to focus and block it out, whatever. But it was a hostile environment, crazy hostile, just from start to finish. And we came out of there with, some of the most amazing baseball was played. The 15-14 game, Kurt Schilling with his 2-0 shutout of us. The first game we won, I think 10-3. Henkin pitched an absolute gem. And the weather was bad. It was raining. It was cold. It was, All the games started late. They went to 1 in the morning. And it was crazy. The Phillies had a great team too, right? Lenny Dykstra, Darren Dalton, John Kruk, Mitch Williams and Danny Jackson and all these guys, Kurt Schilling, should be in the Hall of Fame. They were an incredible team, but a totally different kind of team. Like they were the dirtbag of dirtbags. You know what I mean? Yeah. These guys roughhousers, man.
Philadelphia.
Yeah, they were roughhousers. They were like the Broad Street bullies of baseball.
Yeah.
So it was fun to see two different kind of built teams. We were very, very our team was very suit and tie, very professional. Together, put together. Whereas they looked like they came in their pajamas and their running shoes, and their crappy T-shirts on, but were incredible. Drinking and smoking in the clubhouse. Because I ended up playing for Philly, and I saw they did this stuff. Just a total different environment. Yeah. Whereas we were, much more maligned on we got a job to do and we're sticking to it, right? Everything, the fun happens after we get the work done, right?
Yeah.
Whereas they were having fun while the work was happening. So
it's interesting because you both found your way there. There's a couple different ways to do it, but that's just it. Your team was better being structured, professional, and getting ready that way, and these guys were just off the wall, and it worked for them. Yeah. And now you're finding in the final, it's all coming together. So, and not to cut you off, that 15-14 game was wild. But when you get, because you're in the World Series here now, all of this has happened to you. Tell us about when you get the call to go in and play, and all the emotions that came with that. And I can't remember if it was your first at bat that you got a big hit, but I know that it happened.
First at bat, I got a fielder's choice. So
fielder's choice ended up scoring though, right?
I scored, yeah. I scored run number 7.
That was the 15-14 game.
Yeah. Okay. So that was a crazy game. That was a Todd Stoudemire game where he slid on his face and his chin was busted open.
Yeah.
And, he wanted to stay in the game, but they had scored 7 runs off him, and we were like, "You're not staying in the game, man." This is one of those insane games. It was 3-0, 3-3, 7-3, 7-7. It was insane, this game. So I was, minding my own business, sitting there. I was ready. I was intense. I was nervous. Blah, blah, blah. Just talking to Dick Schofield, talking to Alfredo Griffin. We're always trying to joke and make the guys who weren't playing comfortable, and you know what I mean, keeping each other's energy up, and we're chirping and joking around. And all of a sudden, Gene Tennis comes down and says, "Butler, you're." I was like, "Excuse me."
Wow.
There's Alfredo, 15 years. There's Dick Schofield, 11 years. There's Darnell Cole's 12 years. They're calling on the guy who's got 17 games. Okay.
Wow.
Boom, out of my coat.
Wow, man.
Out of my coat, on deck, standing there. it actually happened in game 3 where they actually called me. So I got on deck in game 3, and that was actually where I wasn't really prepared. I didn't think I was going to get called on. I wasn't ready. Where I busted out of my coat and I was like I hadn't even done a jog. I hadn't done anything. But once I got out on deck and you felt the bowl of the people and how packed it was, and you kind of looked around and everybody's like, you can't even hear them, but they're pointing at you and saying something. They're calling you something, but you can't even hear them. All that helped me. It helped me like get the nerves out. Like, oh shit, this is real now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I got to get up here and blah blah. I'm gonna hit off. I couldn't remember who I could have hit off. But anyways, I went through all of that, and it helped me for the next game, because the next game, yeah, we were chirping, we were joking, blah blah blah. But I was like, I got one eye on Gene Tennis now. I'm waiting for her because it's a crazy game. I know pitch hitters are gonna be used, so I was much more prepared, thankfully. So it was in the third inning. It was I think we're losing 6-3. A couple guys that got on base. I hit a little soft line drive for a fielder's choice. I was not getting doubled off. One thing I did have was speed, and I tried to use it every chance I got. It was definitely a huge advantage for me to be fast. So I got on base. I got the second, and then Devo hit a base hit, and man, Ben Johnson would not have beat me from second to home plate. I think I broke world record.
I've never run so fast in my life. You're just going, yeah.
It was unbelievable. Boom, boom, crossing home plate. No chance throwing me out. So it was huge, like exciting. Like I couldn't get over it. Hang on one second.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I got to do the Newfoundland thing. The home here and there soon. All good. Me and Terry are having fun. Listen, that's my wife just reminding me.
Hey, no problem. Hey, just finish this story, and then I got to follow up, and you.
Yeah. So, anyways. And then it comes, so I score my run. We end up, Jack Morris in the third inning said, first team that scores 15 is going to win this game. Like crazy shit happened. That was like people saw the.
Like, wait, he's quoted in saying that?
Oh, yeah. He said, first team that scores 15.
And it ended up being 15-14. It can't be too many of those games ever in the history of the game. Holy shit, I didn't know that.
First time it ever happened in World Series history. 15 runs and 15-14. And, we were losing 14-9 in the 8th inning. And nobody was panicking. Nobody was worried. Nobody was stressing. They were just planning, preparing, watching the guy pitching. I see Tony Fernandez. I can still see them all. Ricky Henderson, Tony, Joe. Like, we got to get on base, try to hit the ball the opposite field. This is where we chip away. We're gonna chip away. And that's how they did it. They just kept on doing it. Like, if you watch it over, like every ball just seemed to go like that opposite field gap. They were so good at finding the gap and staying on the ball and not panicking. You know what I mean? Guys would come up and try to hit home runs. They didn't do any of that. Kept the ball rolling, kind of like what the team is doing this year. And ended up scoring 6 runs, and we freaking had the lead. And Dwayne Ward came in, boom, shut the door. It was incredible, that game. Like a game I can literally visualize and see still happening, all of it, like all the parts. It was surreal. Like even the part where Tony Castillo was pitching, he ended up hitting for himself, which was bizarre because normally a relief pitcher who hadn't hit in 10 years, right? Cito let him hit for himself, which became important because he had to pitch another inning, which actually helped us get farther into the game. Cito saw this foresight as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
totally.
It was so
that's a big moment.
Cool.
A lot of people would, you're getting hit for. Wild. So then, I had to skip over a lot. I know you got a lot to do, and I really appreciate your time today. So you're there. You end up. Just a couple of games later, you guys win. It's legendary. Everything that happened, from Joe Carter to the fans, to the elation of the country, to you being from Toronto. I said Joe Carter. There's 6. I think Hall of Famers, 5 or 6.
Yeah.
It's hard to really sum this up. But if it's me, as soon as I score that first run that I'm out there, or as soon as I get into the game, I'm thinking I possibly have a World Series ring for real. I just contributed somehow. And you end up really contributing. You're in your home. You're still a rookie. Okay, there it is, folks. I will be back with Volume 2. Blue Jays legend Rob Butler. Real soon. If you happen to be downtown St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador, why don't you check out TJ's Pub, Trinity Pub, Rob Roy Confusion, the Martini Bar, Green Sleeves, and of course the Bull and Barrel. If you want to get a bite to eat, why not Loose Tie? Why not Blue on Water? And of course, Wedgwood Cafe, who also do catering. You want to work out, you want strength and balance for the body and mind, go to Rope Walk Lane, go to see Ryan Power at Power Conditioning. 2 locations of Mr. Lube right here in St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador. One's on Torbay Road, one's on Cameron Road. Live, Laugh, Lube. Crown Cabinets, just because. Creative closets and doors, small storage, smart spaces. Check it out. GS Construction, if you're in Edmonton. laying the groundwork for your community. And of course, True Hockey, take what's yours. Thanks for listening, folks. Back with Volume 2, just a few minutes. Rob Butler. Thanks for listening.